Hi there, Sly Prep here, and so the question today is, are you going back to bases? Now, I'm a back to bases prepper. I get called a hippie, I get called a yuppie, I get called different things, that I'm not a prepper, that I'm not this, I'm not that, blah, 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 blah. Usual stuff. But I'm recording this in my truck, so you got to bear with me. I love the convenience of air conditioners. I love the convenience of the heat and all this stuff. But the fact is, I want more. I want to go more back to bases. I want to be able to harvest my own food. I want to be able to raise my own food. I want to be able to make my own paper. I want to be able to make my own tinctures and things like that. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to do that. But it's something I can do in a barter system if things get to the point. And I hope, SHTF doesn't really hit here in the U.S. But it has in many ways. When you think about it, the cost of living, of course, is always there. Many people work 2 or 3 jobs. There's temp services you got to go through now just to get a job. And then there's just people that's gotten so dependent on, how do I put it nicely? There's just some lazy SOBs out there. Let me put it that way. Just some lazy SOBs. Depends on the state you live in, on what you're raised up on. If you are raised up in a huge city and you've never been outside that city, New York or Los Angeles or whatever it is, that's all you know. All you know is the convenience of walking down the road and you got 10 restaurants there. But then again, here is the dilemma. Is many people do not know how to raise simple food. I mean, start out with a flower pot in your house. Start out with a tomato plant. Start out with a bell pepper plant. Maybe you like onions. Set you up a little small thing for onions in your house or apartment. More and more people are living in apartments because trying to buy a home is just non-existent for most people. Unless you got that super good paying job. Unless you just saved your money for 15 years or 20 years or whatever. And many people have chose to live in apartments over buying a home. It's just, so the drawback on that is to when you get health-wise, there's a lady that I know, her health is very bad in many, many ways. She uses a cane. She has to use a walker. She's lived in her apartment for 25 years. 25 years she's lived in that apartment. Think about how much money she has shelled out each month. She works part-time, tries to work part-time. She gets her disabilities check, but still, there she is. She's living in this apartment. She's got to figure out what she's going to do down the road because she's just struggling. I mean, health-wise, she's struggling. So here she is, 25 years of living in this apartment, and it's become her home. So what happens when you reach that point and you're not able to do things anymore? You're not able to really take care of yourself like you used to or whatever. And you have no skills. You have not developed any survival skills, basically is what it is. Back to bases. It's something to think about. If you're going to be an urban prepper, that's great. If that's what your life caters to, then that's great. But you got to think about back to bases. What can I do to help my family to manage? Maybe I need to raise a tomato plant. We love tomatoes. Okay, but they're not that expensive. Of course they're not that expensive, but then again, they can be. But your homegrown tomato be better. You'd be surprised how many tomatoes you can get from just 4 tomato plants. Maybe you love bell peppers. Maybe you love radishes. Maybe you love whatever plant you like. And fish you a little spot somewhere up against the window and put it next to your flowers you like to raise, and raise you some vegetables and stuff. Getting back to bases. are you a back to basics prepper? I mean, are you back to basics? Do you turn around and you have started maybe making your own clothes more? I'm working on making some junk journals. It's a learning process for me. As I research and teach it, I'm going to put some on my store site once I get them done. That's my extra income. I hope to get more off grid, but it's teaching me how to do this as well as I want to learn how to make the paper, to teach myself how to process that to use. And so there's a never ending back to basis teaching yourself, surviving in a situation. I love the modern convenience. I wouldn't have these dentures if it wasn't for modern convenience. I wouldn't have a lot of my health issues taken care of if it wasn't for modern convenience and stuff like that. But I also use a lot of natural herbs. I want to show you here. You see that burn right there? I'm using a back to basis treatment. I'll show you again. Now look at that burn. See how bad that is? It's healing. It was a lot worse than that. And all I'm using is my oil treatment that I have. And that's the one I use with, that's olive oil, avocado oil. I pair it with wild ginger and cinnamon in it. I use it on this burn to help heal it up, and it's been healing. The ginger has that antibiotic, so they have an anti-inflammatory in it, and that's what I'm treating my burn with. If I did not treat it with anything, and I had nothing to treat it with, that burn would not be healing. You can tell the difference in it. I mean, it was just, I soak it in warm water. I clean it thoroughly in warm water and stuff. Get it good and soft and soak it so it'll remove some of the burn and stuff. And that's, again, part of my back to basics prepping. Same way with a lot of the hair. I have a hair treatment I use for myself. I have other things I use for myself. They're all back to basics. So are you a back to basics prepper? Are you going back to basics? So that's what I want to know. I think it's important that everybody goes back to basics to a certain extent. I mean, you don't have to go all gun-ho and wear the buckskins and bushcraft or anything like that. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just telling you can do some back to basics, like raising some tomato plants and stuff like that. Changing some of your lifestyle around a little bit. Not counting on the comfort so much, but having your backup supplies in case somehow, if you live in an area where there's a lot of snow or heat, droughts or whatever, having those extra supplies is something to be smart about. So are you a back to basics prepper? That's what I want to know. This Life Prepper here. I want you to be safe, be happy. Bless you all.